If a wine doesn't touch you straight away, then it never will. That's what Theresa Breuer said when we last spoke. Now, there's nothing amazingly profound about that statement. If a wine doesn't touch you straight away, then it never will. But it somehow goes straight to the heart of the Breuer ethos. And paradoxically, it's what makes the profound pleasure of this estate's wines so remarkable. So this is where we're headed to today, to the village of Rudesheim in the Rheingau region of Germany, to look at one of this revered region's defining estates, Weingut Georg Breuer. Before we home in on the winery, let's just have a closer look at the Rheingau itself. So it lies on the northern banks of the Rhine, after the river hangs a pretty sharp left at the city of Mainz. To the south of Mainz and west of the Rhine is the much larger Rheinhessen region. The Rheingau, though, is pretty compact, running some 40 kilometers along the right bank of the Rhine until the great river resumes a diagonal course, heading northwest towards Koblenz at the very top of the Mosel Valley. So the Rheingau vineyards then are hemmed in by the Taunus Mountains to the north. So they're protected there in a pretty narrow band extending 3 to 6 kilometers between the south-facing slopes directly over the river up to those Taunus foothills. There are just over 3,000 hectares of vines here. The likes of Rheinhessen and Pfalz are 8 times larger, and the Mosel itself is home to almost 3 times as many vines. But just as the Rheingau's fame belies its size, so does its compactness mask a certain diversity. You look a little closer and some intricate details emerge. Vineyards vary in their elevation and their proximity to the river, of course, plus you have diverse soil types from calcareous marls through loam, loess, clay, mica schist and quartzite to, over at the western extreme, Devonian slate à la Moselle. There's also a series of lateral valleys from tributaries flowing south into the Rhine. But one generalization you can make is this: Riesling reigns supreme in the Rheingau. The noble grape accounts for more than 78% of plantings. Perhaps surprisingly, Pinot Noir comes in second place with 12%. And while we should be wary always of making generalizations, you might say that Rheingau Riesling is not as airy and featherlight as the Mosel on the one hand, and nor does it tend towards the succulence, power and roundness that you might find in the warmer Pfalz. What you get is something between the two: heightened aromatics, clear lines, firm, cool fruit, and tension. And if you have classic Mosel Riesling or classic Pfalz Riesling, I wonder, could you argue that the Rheingau is the closest you can get to classic dry German Riesling? Dunno, but maybe. And though the wide Rhine River and resulting humidity lend good potential for botrytized wines here, Auslesen, Beerenauslesen and Trockenbeerenauslesen, the vast majority of Rheingau production is dry. More than 60% are classified as Trocken, another 27% are off-dry. And if there's one man who's served as Germany's most prominent inspiration towards a modern dry Riesling tradition, wine supposedly in the mould of the late 19th century when German wine standing on the shoulders of the Rheingau enjoyed its greatest standing on the world stage, then that man is the late, great Bernhard Breuer. Now, Bernhard died far too young in 2004 when his daughter Theresa was just 20 years old. And Theresa, straight shooting, mountain climbing dynamo that she is, picked up the baton and has been running with it ever since. Writing in her book, The Wines of Germany, Krebiehl MW calls this an unmissable estate, and says that Theresa has, quote, honed a very distinctive style that unites the seemingly contradictory virtues of slenderness with textural richness and beautiful herbal aromatics. Now, the bottle we'll take a look at in a second is a village wine, but Krebiehl goes on to say of the Georg Breuer estate, the top wines are sensational. Like Theresa, they have no frills, are straight-laced, come with lots of hinterland and shine with honesty. Now, the estate is based in Rudesheim, a lively, fun, kind of daggy riverside resort town, complete with bustling taverns of dirndl-clad, stein-wielding maids and Oompa music. Georg Breuer's vineyards are likewise centred on Rudesheim, where it owns parcels in 3 Grand Cru overlooking the river on the Rudesheimer Berg, the most exalted of which is Schlossberg. Now, the Breuer family also owns vines in the village of Rauenthal nearby, including the monopole Grand Cru Nonnenberg. And just recently, Theresa bought 6.5 hectares from a cousin in the village of Lorch at the extreme western edge of the Rheingau. So that took the estate up to 38 hectares of vineyards. These have been farmed 100% organically since 2011. And of course, out among the vines is where all the work is done. The winemaking here is hands-off, lo-fi in the extreme. What Theresa is aiming for always is precision. Nothing should get in the way of the fruit, the place, and the sensations that they trigger. And I often think Theresa would be the best boss. She's humble but forthright, gentle but incisive, just doesn't overcomplicate things. And there's a tight triumvirate keeping those precise aims in mind. There's Theresa, of course, just in her mid-30s now, and with 16 vintages under her belt as boss. In charge of the vineyards is Hermann Schmoranz, who joined the estate as a part-time tractor driver back in 1987, and the cellar master is former sommelier Markus Lunde, a Georg Breuer fanboy who began an internship in March 2004, 2 months before Theresa took the reins. So, as we speak, those three are marching into their 17th vintage together. And the model that Bernhard Breuer put in place back in the 80s, before its time moved to place viticulture and vineyard front and centre in great dry Riesling, continues its precise, purposeful ascendance. So the estate bottles 3 village designated wines from Rauenthal, from the newly acquired vines in Lorch, and from its heartland in Rudesheim. And this is from the 2017 vintage under Screwcap. It had been a little while since I last looked at this, actually, a mistake I will not be making again because I thought it was just excellent. The nose here is pure Riesling, floral and lemon in all its guises, zest, lemon verbena, lemon oil. There's also honey and toast, a stony sense, and also a sandalwood-like note, not from oak I should add, but very appealing. And often I see a firm peach character in these Rheingau wines, and that too is definitely the case here. The palate is lovely. There's no skin contact with these wines, but there's a lovely textural grape skin sensation with pure citrus and peach fruit there. It's only medium bodied, but there's substance, density and tension here, and a fine powdery sensation through the finish, long with puckering acidity. It's really delicious, and I would definitely say it touched me straight away. It's a great introduction to Theresa's wines. And to learn more about this or any of the wines of Georg Breuer, anything else in the CellarHand portfolio, please check out our website. That's www.cellarhand.store. Feel free to send us a direct message at CellarHandWine or to me at Van Merrison. But in the meantime, please stay safe, keep well, drink responsibly and discerningly, and thank you for watching.